right, version 1.4 of the Assimil8or Manager, or A8 Manager. So a bunch of new stuff in there, and this release actually is the release I was hoping would be the first version of stuff, which is the ability to detect issues with the setup of an SD card for the Assimil8or and allow you to fix those issues from within this application. And so we've got all the fixers in now. Previously, the previous versions just found those problems and reported them. But there's other things that we check for now as well. So I'll just go over the list real quick, and then we'll see it in the software here. We added fixers for renaming folders and files that the names are too long of, for wave audio files that are of the incorrect format. Pretty much that's probably only you've got a floating point wave file versus an integer wave file. Assimil8or supports all of the sample rates and bit depths and stuff like that. So the only thing I haven't handled actually is how to properly convert a file that's more than 2 channels. So that'll be added later as well. Also locating missing audio files. So you have a preset file that refers to a audio file that's not in that folder. When you hover over one of the messages in the validator list, you'll get a pop-up that shows the entire line. That's good for lines that go off the end of the list. The little filter buttons for info, warning, and errors now have a little pop-up info tooltips to help you know what they mean. Somebody had asked for the ability to see the entire RAM usage of all the audio files in a folder. Previously, we were only reporting the RAM usage for all of the audio files that were used in the presets in a folder, as that's how the Assimil8or loads them into memory. But we now also display the RAM usage for all of the files. Also added a couple little checks for preset file names. Turns out preset files can only start with lowercase prst, so got that check in there as well. We also checked the number in the preset name, because the format is prst with 3 digits, and those 3 digits can only be from 0 to 199, so we check that. If either of those things are incorrect, you are offered a rename option for those. There's also some system files that are stored on there at times. One's called folderprefs.yml, and then there's lastfolder.yml and lastpreset.yml. So those are now recognized as official files for the Assimil8or, and referenced as such as opposed to being referenced as unknown. Later in the upcoming releases, we'll add validation for those, and maybe even you can edit them or something. And the last piece that was added was reporting any errors in a preset file. These are highly unlikely, but if you were to edit them by hand or generate them from a tool possibly that had things wrong, you could end up with wrong stuff. So those are reported, and a bunch of bug fixes and UI stuff. So I've probably rambled on too long without showing you anything, and you've just been staring at the screen. So let's go ahead and we'll validate the user folder or user card here that comes with the device. Plus I've added some test folders that and files that will show the problems as we have them here. So go ahead and select. We see here at the bottom, it was scanning. It went really quick because I previously scanned this, and whether the OS is caching stuff or whatnot, often the second scan goes much more quickly than the first scan does. So this is that top level thing showing us a bunch of folders, and we can see a bunch of errors. So let's talk about the info pop-ups here. So when you highlight a line, hover over a line here in the view, you get that pop-up that shows you at the very top the parent folder and the file name, and then the whole line that was displayed there. Same with here. Now you got info pop-ups, little tooltips here on those guys as well. So that's it. So let's go ahead and do our first fix here. We've got a folder name that's too long folder name. And of course we hover over that, we see it's too long, and it's 68 versus 31. So we come over here, click on fix. We're going to get ourselves a nice little pop-up here. As soon as we've got a valid name, the OK button will be activated. If you type in a file name that does not have the extension that the file has, it will automatically append it. So this is a folder, so we don't have to worry about that. It doesn't do that for folders, but we'll just call this short folder. We'll click OK. It's going to do a rescan, and that error will go away. There we go. In the future versions, I hope to just rescan for the piece that was updated, but in this version, it's just a brute force. Every time you fix something, we do a complete rescan. So yeah, so we can turn off, using these buttons down here, we can get rid of some of the information. So let's get rid of the information stuff, the info ones we don't care about. We really don't care about these warnings either, so we can turn off warnings. And now we just have the errors. Most of the errors can be fixed. Here's a WAV file that obviously an unknown audio format because it's size 0, so it fails in the reader. And the rest of these, of course, are all various problems. First one here, as we talked about, PRST in capitals, that is wrong. So you can rename that if you want, and we can just call that PRST 074. Ideally, again, the software would recognize that this is a preset file and what the problem was, and actually just offer you this lowercase name like that. So we click that, boom, 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 we rescan. Since we have the error, the other filters turned off, we only see the update here for the errors, so that's great, right? Let's do a file location. So preset 0 can't find file 1. So we click fix, we get a locator, a file dialog. We'll select the file, and then when we click open, it will copy it to the folder and do a rescan again, and now we don't have that problem anymore. This one we can't fix. I'm not sure why. Oh, because there's two problems here. There is problems in the preset file, which you can see with parse error unknown zone parameter sample start mod, but there's also missing WAV files down there too. So that's why the fix is offered. And as a matter of fact, if we click that, we'll see here that there is a list of these files for each of the files. Future versions, again, will have a find all or something like that, where you can specify a folder, and it will look for all of the missing files in that folder. So, and we've done the find. Here's one, PRST 200. That's out of range, as we see. Preset 200 above max 199. Preset will be ignored. We could go and rename that if we wanted to. We've seen that before. Here's the file name, too long. This is a WAV file, so we'll just call it, say WAV file. And again, I'm not going to add the extension here, and so it will automatically grab the extension. But one caveat is, if you wanted to rename it without the extension, you could add the period, and that now says my new name does not have an extension anymore. Why would you want to do that? I don't know. Anyway, so that's just the way I programmed it. We go ahead and we click that, rescan, and now that guy is gone. Last one is the floating point. So we're going to convert this guy, floating point WAV file. We can see it's floating point. And so we click on fix, it does the fix and rescans. Eventually, for some of these operations, such as locate and the convert, we will have progress dialog kind of stuff going on, because those operations could be long, depending on how big files are and whatnot. So, but currently, if it's a big operation and you choose locate, which does a copy, the UI may be locked up while it's doing the copy. And same for the format conversion. If it's a big file and during the conversion, the UI may be locked out. I've got notes to fix that, and we'll certainly fix that for the upcoming releases. I think that's it. We renamed a folder, renamed files, we converted an audio file, we located a missing file, we looked at the tips, the tool tips for these messages here. We looked at the tooltips for the buttons. Oh, we didn't look at the, let's go ahead and get rid of, let's just look at the info stuff here. So, yeah, like I said, here's the total RAM usage for presets in a test, 2.46 megabytes, but also total RAM usage for all audio files in a test, which is 5 megabytes. So again, just giving you an indication, maybe if you put all your sample files in there and you, without even creating a preset yet, you want to know if they're all going to fit, this number will give you that. We also recognized certain files. Folderprefs.yml, it's a system file and it's folder preferences. And the other ones are up at the top level, so I think they're at the bottom here. But yeah, lastfolder.yml is a system file. Last folder. So again, we'll process those later. And we also saw the reporting already of parse errors in the file there, the preset file. That's it. So, and a bunch of bug fixes, things that you guys maybe didn't ever see and didn't know were there that are now fixed. And little improvements in a variety of operations and whatnot. But we're all prepped now for moving on to version 2.0, which will be the editor. I'm very excited to start working on that. I got some UI ideas, so I'm going to do some mock-ups for that, and we will then go ahead and start showing that. So hope you enjoy this new version. Report any bugs to me or any little small feature requests. And anybody who wants to get involved in the development, it's open source. Grab from the repo and submit a PR. If it's something good, I'll try to get it merged in. And that's that.